For this deck testing video, I am taking a spin on Guildsworn Control. Now, this is not a conscription-based list, but it does utilize Namira's Shrine, and that's because Guildsworn has an awful lot of ways to trigger Shrine in some pretty efficient and effective ways. This particular version is running Executes and Rapid Shots. You could also try to jam in Firebolt if you really wanted to. A decent number of 2-drops. We are running, some defensive ones. Guildsworn Apprentice also cycles. Hunger is to combine with Rage, things like that. But also, we've got cards like Guildsworn Oathman, for example, that can generate these amazing zero-cost cards that will help you to trigger Shrine. A single Guildsworn Oathman, if it gets both the triggers, is enough to trigger Shrine by itself if you play them both. It's also a great way to give you the improvised weapon to again combine with Unstoppable Rage for some surprise, splashy, flashy plays. This list is pretty straightforward in what it's trying to do. And in fact, I think this reminds me very much of old original Control Mage, in that if we were in a timeline where attrition-based gameplay existed in Legends, this is what it would be trying to do. It would be trying to outgrind your opponent with like long-term value plays. It does still run Daggerfall Mage like the old school Control Mage used to. Old school Control Mage used to also try to fight for the board more with bodies, but it would do so with like the old Elusive Schemer when it was a 4-1. And while we don't have Elusive Schemer in this list, we do have a lot of early game bodies and then a lot of ways to get that additional card draw. So it feels very similar. Now, we're not in a timeline where attrition-based gameplay is a thing in Legends anymore. I think that was probably by design, but I'll talk about that as I play through the first game here, because I have some thoughts on that. But anyway, this is the list in its current form. There will be the code in the video description as well. Like I always do with these, we're going to go play 2 games, win or lose, and, hopefully get some wins, showcase what the deck is trying to do. I have played this a little bit on and off stream, so this isn't like a initial first dive in, never played it deck testing video, but it's far from refined in my opinion, but I'm enjoying it. Cards I could see adding would be, like Shadowfoot, or maybe Riften or something to, take options away from my opponent. Hey, it's Pete Crichton. Hello, Pete. Member of my community. Pete hangs out in the Discord. Pete shows up into the Twitch stream often. This is keepable. I'm tempted to throw this back just because it has Prophecy. See if we can... Yeah, you know what? We're going to do it. We've got a 2-drop and a 3-drop. We'll throw that back. Thoughts on the attrition thing? Well, we get a Prophecy back anyway, either way. On the attrition thing. So, right now in Legends, gameplay is far and away more about card quality and choice than it is quantity. There was a time in Legends where all control decks tried to do were outlast your opponent. Your opponent would throw themselves at you, you would remove their stuff, you'd try to make selective value trades, get 2-for-1s and things like that, and then you would use the card draw from runes, for example, to your advantage, and eventually you would have cards and your opponent wouldn't, and you would kind of like win by default. Sometimes that would take somewhere between like 1 and 5 turns before that actually happened though, because you would be waiting for you to get cards to let you stabilize. You would draw the old Pillaging Pre-Nerf Tribune, for example, or something to that effect. And I think that because of the length of those games, in all honesty, the lack of fun once the games have reached those points, because if you're on the receiving end of that scenario, it's not very fun, right? Like when you're just top decking over and over and over and over and over again and not having a good time as a result, it kind of feels bad, right? So I feel like the developers have said, okay, let's instead make it about choice, right? What do you include in your deck so that you have the right card at the right time? Since it's more, again, about quality than quantity. That's what I feel like they've done anyway. I think we take this Javelin and just get rid of this here. So, A little bit shocked. I thought Pete would have been on something spicy because Pete is known for doing that. I'll be honest, I was pegging him on something like a telekinesis item battle mage. It still very much could be that, but right now, everything I've seen instead points to the more old school, traditional, you know, just mid-range battle mage. Yeah, Blood Dragon really driving that idea home at the moment. So let's just do a little bit of this to slow it down. It's going to force some trades into that. Going to get good value out of me, actually. It's going to be... So if I use a Crusader's Assault and the Storm, I'll spend 3 cards and get 2 back, so net it could end up being like a 1-for-1, but it's just a really clunky 1-for-1, if that makes any sense at all. And we can still do that. We can take this up to 4, so we have to actually get our attack in. But we can take this up to 4 now, so that this overruns it by 1 so we don't break a rune. Get our card draw on. There we go. Now, I could also see Laneth getting cut from this list because it's just an old kind of like traditional list. There's not a lot of clutch key cards you need to go hunt for with her. I'm more often than not, if I'm being honest, finding Thaden, because it just, at the point where you can safely play Laneth, you're kind of close to stabilizing already anyway, and then Thaden just lets you kind of like jump ahead in terms of the card draw game. So I'm tempted to do it here now, but we already have a plethora of options. So instead, I feel like we're just going to continue to play defense a bit. Doing this is like when you're on a free turn, and I'll say free as I do air quotes here. Alright. Got a battle mace out of it anyway. Oof. That is 2 very good creatures. Alright, so if I were to play Iron right now, I got a 50-50 on getting something back that would kill either of these. And like a 75% chance to get Channeled Storm. So the only reason I'm doing this math here is like if I play Iron, then I have 6 left, but this goes down to 4, and if I get the Channeled Storm back, that would cost 2. So with a ring charge, if I got Channeled Storm back, I could hit both of them. But the benefit of playing this first means I increase my chances of getting something back that would also nuke this. So I think what we're gonna do is sacrifice some damage here for the chance to get that back. Oh yeah, Crusader's Assault was hiding in there. Well, let's pretend that that wasn't there, because then that makes my math sound significantly better than what it was. Because it turns out it was actually not a 50-50. It was a 40-60. But that's because this was hiding on me.
I'll kill you while you stab.
It's a very good prophecy for us, though, for a number of reasons. The biggest reason of all, however, being that I want them to play things... I don't want them to... Don't have the lightning bolt. Don't do it, Pete. Play things to contest. So I can get this surprise Crusader's Assault rage going. No! I wanted the health gain. Wow. Wow, the greed. So we could Odaving there if we really wanted to. But there is a part of me that just wants to play Laneth because of my own greed, but I think Odaving is still proper. The thing about saving Lyneth is she is still a good toolbox, so if they play something like an aspect of her scene or something ridiculous here. Alright, well, we might still get our really splashy rage.
Watch yourself now.
Alright, it wasn't quite lethal, but we got a lot of card draw, and we got our opponent to 1 while we have a lightning bolt in hand. And if we didn't have this in hand, again, by saving the toolbox option, we could just play Lyneth and then use our last ring charge on a lightning bolt next turn anyway. So given that this is battlemage, they don't have a lot of health gain options, and I don't think they can burst us for 21. They can do a lot of damage from hand, but I don't think they can burst us for 21, so this should just be a victory. Yeah, they've already used a mace and 2 bolts as well, so even if they had some charge creatures or something silly, likely safe. So yeah, big dragons doing big things. I'm sorry, Pete. If you watch this later, I'm sorry, Pete. I love you. Pete, weighing options here, saying, how do I stay alive? Right? If they have like a harpy here and a firebolt here, like, you know, you played your outs. Pete probably suspects that I've got some form of damage in my hand. Pete would be correct. But if you did not suspect it, or you were hoping, then, you know, there are paths that you can take here. Looks like Pete did not have it though. So also, Mr. Blackdrop, if you're watching, I'm gonna go ahead and give you exact lethal with this forked bolt, just because I know it's your aesthetic. Because I find that funny. Sorry, Pete, I love you. I love you, I love you. So anyway, that's game 1. Let's go ahead and hop into game 2 and see how we do. But as you can see, it's got pretty traditional control options. There are some things that can give it fits, and that's why I don't think this particular version of the list is fully optimized yet. Right now I'm only running 2 Dushnik archers, and I'm running archer over giant just because it's a little lower on the curve. But I have toyed around with adding belligerent giants in, and if I'm being honest, it probably needs I don't think most of my Empire opponents have not been tokens, so I don't think we want to keep these. I do feel like having at least 1 belligerent giant is probably correct in there as well. It might even be a 2 and 2 might be correct. I go back and forth on that a lot. I'm running 1 vigilant giant. I think that should probably switch to belligerent. It's not like we really need the extra card draw, and I think the support removal and the flexibility of belligerent's probably just better. But you know, this is the point of the deck testing stuff, right? Like you don't just pick up a deck and have it be amazing. You know, you go through a process and refine things and figure out what works and what doesn't. And yeah, this does look like it's going to be Empire control, and this has the potential to be a really rough matchup for us. I think that just straight long-term ultra value, Empire control is going to outclass Guildsworn, but where you battle that, where you try to make up the ground, is with very good unstoppable rages. So getting those big breakthroughs like we just got last game can be a big deal. Wow, somebody's playing the supply runner ramp. Interesting. I'm actually very impressed. It's like not even me joking or anything. This is neat. This is literally the first time I've ran into this in constructed play. I've seen it in arena, but I don't dislike it. Might have even inspired me. I'm not gonna lie, I keep forgetting that this is even an option.
Sheol take you.
Alright, so here we're just gonna cycle. We're just on this cycle through our options game plan. Our opponent's gonna outramp us and start playing big bombs, and so we want to get as many options to combat them as possible, because we know they're coming. So if they play a conscription, hopefully it's before they've played Divine Fervor or Praetorian Commanders, so that our Ice Storm will clear. If they play just big bombs, we've got some answers there. Our hand at the moment is in an okay position, but in a control-on-control matchup, just cycling through, getting your options, getting these value trades over time like we're trying to set up, they can do a lot for you. Yeah, this is neat to have seen this used. I keep forgetting it's here, but
Feel the power within
yeah.
you.
Look at this. Look at this. This is definitely piqued my interest. Top deck Wardcrafter. One time. One time, as they say. I'm really tempted to use Cast into Time on this, because I don't want to deal with this even more. Not that they haven't already used all of the ramp tools that they could like hope to use. The question that you have to ask yourself is like, what else could you use Cast into Time on? And the problem is that this is the only 2-drop I've seen, and they're already running a non-traditional 3-drop. So if this is not conscription, then saving this for a big bomb you don't want to deal with again is kind of important. And so that's my hesitation. Getting rid of these is always solid, but I think what we're gonna do is just cycle here, see what we draw, and instead we'll take the trade. Kind of want to just play a pair of Brumas.
Preparations have been made. There's a plan. There's always a plan.
I don't really need the health, but it gets bodies on the board. Played the Bruma 1 and 1 because I suspect if they're running this, then they might have other Empire themed cards here.
I smell the stench.
Now this is not something that we had an answer for. And now we are seeing the 2-drops come, so there is a strong chance that this is conscription now that we're seeing this in action. Well, we need to go on a hunt for our archers, which is, again, it's funny that I was just saying that I think one of the weak points of the current version of the list is exactly that, and then it comes immediately into play. So we're gonna cycle through. Tier is also questionable. Probably doesn't need to be in here. The reason I have it in here is because it's a decent prophecy against aggro. And then when you talk about splashy plays late game, being able to combine it with rage and have a 5 attack breakthrough creature at a 4 cost is not irrelevant, you know? So I think we're actually gonna go ahead and do this. Shackle this down. Make this trade. Wait here, because we're gonna play this here, and again see if we can set up value trades. The bummer here is that we're gaining a bunch of life that we kind of really don't need to, but I also feel like our opponent's not the kind who would have been breaking runes anyway, since they're on control. But sometimes people surprise you. They play control lists and they go aggro very, very early on. And this player might decide to do that just because of the work we're doing. Yeah, maybe I really should have used Cast into Time on that Hiss Mage. They are pumping. But again, they could have just used it on a Tree Minder as well if they just really wanted the ramp there, so.
Ita Oria.
Do I really want to use a Javelin on that? We do have the Cast into Time as backup. This just feels like a really bad Javelin. They only have 3 cards in hand. They do have the Shrine, though. think we're gonna use the javelin so I can set up this value trade. Get a little bit of chip damage in, get them just kind of sitting on 26 so that later on if we do get a big splashy rage, maybe it'll be effective. Hey, there's the conscription.
The Black Hand sees all.
I smell the
Preparations
stench
have
of
been
the
made.
I'll
living.
find you the finest recruits in
So
City.
I bark and bear.
the good news is we do have the ice storm.
The eight protect us.
It's the good news anyway. I really want them to put the guard on this so that, yeah, thank you. So I can at least negate it a bit.
Ita Orion.
Get some chip damage in. Get that ice storm down. Alright, so at this point here, we need to find our own shrines and or card draw. And we really need to find some support removal. Yeah, I got a feeling this one's just not going to go our way here. We've kind of been outvalued in terms of like a control mirror from the get-go. Our opponent playing as much ramp as they have played already. And then also pairing it with a shrine. I mean, it just means they can kind of do whatever they want. And while we do have cool tools like Rage here, alright, well, I can't let this make more things. I'm tempted to use this here just because it means that it won't come up for future conscriptions. And this is another option. So the key cards in this matchup that you would want to use cast on are usually Necromancer, Praetorian Commander, and then whatever they might have Galened if you hit Necromancer before they've Galened it, right? Like those are your three targets, but sometimes banishing the 2-drops so you don't have to deal with them in multiples can be a benefit. It's probably incorrect there. We're in that weird spot where we really need to start generating value and we have no tools to do so, and our opponent has all of the tools to do so. They're also apparently running triple Soul Tear. So they are just going to continue to ramp. Well, okay, now they've decided they've ramped enough, but I'm still kind of geeked about this supply runner, man. I'm not gonna lie. Just seeing something new, it's always so refreshing. And a shrine.
Praise to Namira.
And a shrine. Wow.
Such darkness.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say there's not any way we're gonna win this. Now, you know, we're doing this for the tubes, right? So we're gonna play this out. We're not gonna concede. If I was trying to like grind the ladder, there's a strong chance I would just concede right now and move on. This is insane. This is nutso. But, you know, it's a deck testing video, so we're gonna keep going. Maybe our opponent will make a mistake. You don't know. There's a conscription.
Lurk in the shadows, waiting.
Preparations have been made.
I smell the stench.
I mean, they're gonna be at like
living.
a billion life, which is the biggest problem. But at least we have, in 2 turns, a flashy, unstoppable rage. Sure.
There's a plan.
See what iron gets us. Hopefully it's an ice storm. One time. No. I said one time, not cast into time. Gosh. You do this to me all the time. You ruin it. Alright, well, survival mode, right? So we're gonna take this trade here. I think this has gotta likely take the Skinhound trade here. And then we need to cast into time something. And my instinct says this, because then we don't have to deal with any more of those in the future. Yeah, I think let's do that one. There's also an argument to be made about maybe that, but anyway. There's also, like, if you leave that up over there, like, we're going to try to set up a flashy rage here, so likely we're going to try to rage into that field lane. The worst part is we're going to play this rage and it's not even going to matter.
Move aside. Imperial business.
Wow, they played the Oathman over there. So that means that this recruiter's not hitting face, or you don't care about the Pilfer? Oh, you just don't care. You're going triple Oathman on me already, huh? This rage isn't even gonna hit breakthrough damage.
Leave nothing. I will cut your purse and
This rage isn't even gonna keep me alive.
Fools.
Feel the might of the Empire.
And play this rage from hand. It's not even gonna keep me alive. Alright, this is actually kind of a big deal. This is a really good top deck. So the big issue here is that these are actually 6/6s, because I could Hunger, Rage, and then Skaven, but then I still don't even clear the 6/6s. But I feel like that ends up still being potentially correct, because I can clear 2 of the 3 over here. The other option is I can trade, and then I could Hunger and Rage over here and clear everything. But then at that point, I'm only going to gain 20. I'll be at 23, and they've got 12, 14, 21. I mean, I guess.
You won't foil my plan.
History shall remember this day.
they will perish in flame.
I guess. Strong chance we're still dead here, but we're going to do our best. Played the Skaven over there because we needed to get these 6 health down to 5 so that this potentially clears here. Yeah, there's the Necro. So
Feel the power within you.
we'll now be able to clear this,
You cannot
but
leave.
won't likely be able to deal with this.
Peasant. The hiss shall heal you.
So much ramp. Yeah, it's gonna clear the drain creature, and that there is our problem. Finally found our own shrine. Little bit late. Just a little. And that's gonna end up being game. Again, we can clear this over here, but not effectively, not enough. I mean, we could clear this over here, but then we just die to this. We're so close.
Blood and faith.
I like our arms.
History shall remember.
If only Tyr here had Drain. We'd still be alive. Alright, so we do lose this. And, you know, I guess, again, it kind of points to what I was talking about. I feel like the 2 archers might not be enough. This makes it look like that's the case, but let's be honest, like, even if I'm running, you know, 1 or 2 extra support removal cards, you know, we'll hop back in as I'm talking about it. Even if I'm running 1 or 2 extra support removal cards, the problem is you have to draw them, right? So For example, I was talking about switching this out to a belligerent giant. We didn't draw vigilant, so it's not like we drew it and it wasn't the card we needed. We just never saw our archers and never drew the vigilant that would have been a belligerent, so we'd have been in the same position. Sometimes in games, your opponent just draws better than you. That's the nature of card games, and our opponent definitely for this matchup drew better than us in that last game. They ramped so fast and then immediately played value engines. It was just pretty neat to see the supply runner. I'm not gonna lie. I might have to play around with supply runner now because I keep forgetting that card exists, but it's effective. So anyway, if you made it this far, as always, thank you for watching. Until next time, may you walk on warm sands.